Welcome back to our channel where we break down the daily drama, the triumphs, and the absolute disasters of daytime television. Today is a beautiful day to dive into the messy, complicated, and utterly infuriating narrative unfolding in Port Charles. I cannot stay quiet about this anymore. I just finished watching the latest developments, and my blood is absolutely boiling. Let me say this clearly right out of the gate. The writers are systematically dismantling Brook Lynn Quartermain, and they are doing it in the most agonizing, structurally manipulative way possible. As someone who understands the mechanics of soap storytelling, I can see the exact blueprint they are using, and I am both in awe of the sheer dramatic collision they are setting up and utterly furious at the character assassination required to get us there. We are watching a slow-motion car crash, and the writers are forcing us to sit in the passenger seat. Let us talk about the confession. The classic tried-and-true soap opera trope of the half-truth. Brook Lynn is backed into a corner, completely suffocating under the weight of her own lies, and what does she do? She admits to a lesser crime to cover up a catastrophic one. She actually looks Harrison Chase in the eye and admits that she enlisted Lucy Coe to act as a witness against Willow. She offers this up as if it is some grand, painful admission of guilt. And from a script writing perspective, it is a brilliant, cowardly tactic. You give the audience and the betrayed spouse a morsel of truth so they stop digging for the whole meal. Brook Lynn is playing the contrite wife, pretending that her territorial jealousy over Willow is her greatest sin. But we know the truth. We know exactly what she is hiding in the dark, and the sheer audacity of this half-confession is driving me up the wall, because the reality is so much worse. Am I supposed to pretend that this makes sense for her character? Brook Lynn has always been a schemer. She has the Quartermain blood running through her veins. We survived the fake pregnancy with Bailey. We survived the ELQ corporate espionage. And we survived the music rights fiascos. But this is entirely different. We are not talking about corporate raiding or petty family squabbles. We are talking about malicious, premeditated criminality. Brook Lynn secretly went to Brick, Sonny Corinthos' top surveillance and tech expert, to hack and tamper with the GPS on Willow's car. She manipulated digital evidence to create a false trail, all to frame Willow and create a disadvantageous narrative. This crosses a massive, uncrossable line. When a writer takes a character who is fundamentally flawed but lovable and pushes them into committing a calculated felony to ruin a romantic rival, you fundamentally alter the DNA of that character. You are no longer writing a desperate wife, you are writing a villain. And the fact that she is omitting this massive detail while crying crocodile tears about talking to Lucy Coe is infuriating. It makes Brook Lynn look incredibly small, petty, and frankly irredeemable. How do you walk a character back from framing someone using mob resources? You do not. The writers have painted her into a corner where the only exit is total destruction. But even the GPS tampering pales in comparison to the ticking time bomb that is the hit and run. Can we be honest about this for a second? Brook Lynn was the driver. She was the one behind the wheel of the other car the night of Jordan's accident. She hit the guardrail, panicked, and fled into the night, leaving the scene of an accident, fleeing a potential fatality. And right now, an innocent man, Isaiah Gannon, is being crucified by the PCPD for her crime. Isaiah's arm was broken by Curtis Ashford in a fit of misplaced violent rage because everyone believes Isaiah is the guilty party. And where is Brook Lynn? She is sitting in the opulent halls of the Quartermain mansion, sipping tea and letting Tracy tell her to keep her mouth shut so they do not jeopardize the adoption of baby Phoebe. This is madness. The moral bankruptcy of this storyline is staggering. As a writer, I appreciate the high stakes. The conflict between saving a child you want to adopt and letting an innocent man go to prison is a fantastic, dramatic dilemma. But by having Brook Lynn actively choose silence day after day while Isaiah bleeds for her sins, the writers are stripping away every ounce of empathy the audience has for her. Tracy's influence is toxic, yes. Generational trauma and the Quartermain legacy of self-preservation are powerful motivators. But Brook Lynn is watching a man's life be destroyed, and she is choosing her own comfort. When this secret detonates, there will be no pieces left to put back together. And then we have Harrison Chase. Oh, Chase. I am so frustrated with how they are writing him right now that I could scream. He is a detective. His entire identity, his moral compass, his very reason for breathing is tied to the law, to justice, to finding the truth. Yet, the writers have placed him under a spell of absolute blinding ignorance when it comes to the woman sleeping in his bed. He eavesdrops on Brook Lynn and Lucy Coe plotting their next moves. He hears the malice, he hears the scheming, and instead of confronting his wife with the full force of a badge and a broken heart, what does he do? He pivots. He pivots so hard toward Willow that it gives me whiplash. Chase overhearing that conversation should have been the moment the veil lifted. The blocking of that scene, the tension in the air, the realization dawning on his face, it was a classic act break moment. But the writers are using it to push him into a narrative space that I absolutely despise. Chase is suddenly consumed with an overwhelming, desperate need to clear Willow's name. He is becoming her white knight all over again. He is pouring all of his protective energy, all of his detective skills, into saving the very woman who has historically shattered his heart simply because his current wife has proven herself untrustworthy. Let me say this clearly. I hate this regression. The writers are recycling the Chase-Willow-Michael dynamic, but this time they are making Chase the naive savior and Willow the compromised damsel in distress. Chase now has a fierce, almost irrational trust in Willow. He believes her over his own wife. He believes her over the evidence. He is completely blind to the fact that Willow herself is drowning in her own dark secrets, including drugging Drew and aligning with Jack Brennan. Chase is running toward a burning building, completely unaware that the fire was started by the woman he is trying to save, and the woman he is running away from is holding the gasoline. This is a masterclass in structural tragedy. I will give the writing room that. Every single piece on the chessboard is positioned for maximum emotional devastation. Chase is desperate to clear Willow, which pushes him closer to her physically and emotionally. Brook Lynn is desperately trying to hold on to her marriage, which pushes her deeper into the lies about the GPS and the hit and run. And standing in the shadows, orchestrating the entire collapse, is Michael Corinthos. We cannot ignore Michael's role in this disaster. Michael wants to destroy this marriage. He wants Chase and Willow to fall into a forbidden affair so he can snap the photographic evidence and blackmail them into submission. And Brook Lynn, with her petty jealousy and her massive criminal secrets, is handing Michael the victory on a silver platter. If Brook Lynn had just been honest, if she had just confessed to the hit and run, Chase would have been furious. He might have even arrested her, but they could have faced it together. Instead, her deception is pushing Chase directly into the trap Michael has set. It is agonizing to watch because it is so entirely preventable. I am looking ahead, and I'm telling you right now, this is heading for an apocalyptic collapse. The spoilers and the timeline hint at Chase making a high-profile arrest in the near future. Am I supposed to believe it is anyone other than Brook Lynn? The narrative symmetry demands it. The detective husband, finally uncovering the ultimate truth, being forced to put handcuffs on the wife he was trying to build a family with. It is the kind of devastating Emmy reel material that actors dream of, but it comes at the absolute cost of the pairing. There is no coming back from this. You can survive a lot on a daytime soap opera. You can survive infidelity. You can survive amnesia. You can even survive a secret child. But you cannot survive your spouse hiring a mob tech to frame your ex, committing a hit and run, leaving an innocent man to be brutally assaulted and framed by the police, and then lying to your face about it for months while pretending to be a victim. The foundation of Chase and Brook Lynn's marriage is not just cracking, it has already turned to dust. I am furious because I love the potential of this couple. I love the Boy Scout and the bad girl dynamic. But the writers have pushed the bad girl too far into the dark. Brook Lynn is no longer a mischievous quartermain. She is a liability. And Chase is no longer a principal detective. He is a pawn being played by his wife, his ex, and his enemy. The emotional truth of this storyline is bleak. The trust is gone. The love is tainted by criminality. As a scriptwriter, I applaud the sheer relentless pacing of this impending doom. The dominoes are lined up perfectly, but as a fan who has invested years into these characters, I am heartbroken and exhausted. I know exactly why this storyline works on paper, but on the screen it feels like a brutal punishment for anyone who ever rooted for them. We are watching the death of a marriage, executed with cold, calculated precision, and when the dust settles, Port Charles is never going to be the same. The writers have made their bold choices, and now we all have to suffer the brilliant, devastating consequences.